This conference will now be recorded.
Now it's official. All right. And we're all ready to go?
I think we're ready.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll flip over to the screen here. All right, so balls and order skills training. Me, Monica, and Carolyn have worked together on this. Of course, I think we're all kind of familiar, but I'll hit it. This new game, a lot like standard, all the standard rules, bringing in the balls into the goal, this time in a designated order. So we just, after the point ball, we don't get to pick and choose whatever we want. And we see it as it's going to take excellent directional skills and impulse control. And a lot of us are finding it really fun to play. It's a nice new challenge, I think. So a couple of weeks ago, Monica, Carolyn, and I brainstormed, okay, what new skills, what new training things do we need to have to be successful at Balls in Order? Bringing those balls in that specific order certainly has challenges to come up with some new things. And so we came up, this is sort of the abbreviated list, and we're going to go through and we'll talk about what each one sort of means, and then the three of us will kind of hit with some of the training ideas that we have for those things, and then also ask, are there any questions or anything like that, or other ideas, so that hopefully we can get together a nice list of things to work on. But the abbreviated list is things that we think are very useful. Having a walk-on, some form of a look back or go back, a call off, directions at distance, direction change stamina, some cue that means that ball right there, the ability to ignore rolling balls, and then tiny position changes. So then what we're going to do is we're going to talk about some of these things and explain what they are. One of the first ones is you really want to know, what is your basic training model? What have you been training? Which idea? As the three of us talk, and things we know about how some people are training, there's two basic ways that train. They teach their dog after the point ball. They tend to work with, when they send their dog, it goes to the furthest ball. They go out and they go around and they go out to the furthest ball out there. Or they work on the send the dog going to the closest ball and working their way out. And based on which way you tend to work with your dog, you're going to find some cues more important. So if you train your dog to go out and circle around and get out to the furthest ball when you send them, then it is very likely in the Balls in Order game that you're going to need some form of a walk-on cue. And the way the walk-on cue is defined is your dog is out there somewhere on the field, and you need them to come in closer to you. It's not so much you need them to circle to the left or to the right. It's just they're out there at a faraway ball, and you need a ball that's maybe even straight in line, but much closer in. So we train a walk-on cue, meaning that's great where you are, but come on in a little closer. Leave that ball out there and come into the next ball. If you tend to train with sending your dog out and they go to the closest ball we see, then it is very likely you're going to find it handy to have some form of what we call a look back cue, a backup, a flip. What do we call that? Go out. Something that sends the dog, okay, you're here, that's great, but I really need you further out there. So that sort of skill is a very handy thing to have. It's not saying that if your dog always goes the closest, you never need to walk on, or vice versa. It's just what you'll most likely end up needing more of. So based on those things, we can talk a little bit about, I don't know if Monica or Carolyn want to chime in, some of the ways you can train those things. I know we've got a video on our Treibball channel, training the walk on, and do we not Monica have something for a look back or go out?
We have that in the vertical directionals. Yeah, in the
Okay, there we
vertical
go. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought we had something. So, so I don't know if you guys want to talk about right here now things you can do to train those sort of
well,
things.
it might be interesting to take a survey of the people who are here and can talk and just ask them which method that they use. I'd be interested. So how about you, Sandy? Do you have the go around the far end of the far side of the balls, or do you have to go to the closest ball as your initial send?
My initial send is go to the furthest ball.
Yeah.
But oftentimes my girls stop at one of the nearer balls, and then I have to tell them a look back cue to go back further.
Okay, great. How about you, Lisa?
Furthest.
Also the furthest.
I haven't started training at all for the balls in order game. I'm very new and have just started with the standard game.
Great.
So
Cool.
I was interested to hear about this.
All right. And how about you, Marianne?
I also haven't started training balls in order because we took the summer off. If it ever gets out of 90 degrees, we will commence to train again.
Are you do you have your dog trained in more of the come by away, go all the way around the grouping of balls, or more go out to the closer
Mine
ball?
is a go out straight. He has
straight.
more.
Yeah,
he has field work commands that I can transition over.
Yeah. Okay, great. And who am I missing? Let's see, we've got Pam.
My dog just is learning, and right now I've just been sending them straight out to turn around behind the ball.
That's the way. Yeah, Irma is going to probably be using the same method that that Marianne uses, so the send to the closest ball. That's what I use as well. And then Chris.
Yeah, I'm out to the furthest ball
and
circle around.
And Carolyn, you too, right? Furthest ball.
I'm sort of trying to get him there, but I found with him it's a kind of a combination of both. That breaking it up, I just have him just start chopping it up, and then that way it takes less time. But he's having a hard time with the go out, and it's probably because I did the standard and he just was able to do it. And so we're still working on it, and sometimes he gets it, sometimes he doesn't. But we're right now he's just I'm just going to break it up, and then so I don't know if that's it. I would say that's probably he's still probably doing the look back more than anything, but he seems to enjoy chopping up the. So
okay,
it's working. So
well, that's really interesting. Okay, I think we're ready to go to the next slide then.
Okay. All right. Come back, little computer. All right. So something else that we've found has become very important are some stop cues. I have to admit, in my little world, I use the same cue, and I'm not sure that's the best. I've just been doing it. But there's two that you really need. One is what we're calling the call off. The dog is pushing it off, and it's not what you want. So you have to have the ability to get them to stop, some sort of cue that says stop pushing that ball, so you can redirect them to another ball. And then a different version of it is the dog's running now somewhere. They're running on the field, and you need to stop them and say, that one, that ball right there. So, you know, in like I said, in my house, with my little boy, I use weight really for both of them. And I have to admit, when I call him off a lot of times, sometimes I just use his name, Mick, and he'll stop. But when he's running and I need him to stop at a ball, wait, and he usually stops, not always. So both of those are important things to have. So what about you guys? What have you got?
Yeah, I've been playing around, so I have not been consistent. And we have a little video, the video of Pappy, that we don't have that on the Nate channel, right? Because that's actually
Not as
Melissa's
intermediate one,
video.
I hope.
No, I mean the training the call off with Pappy.
Oh, okay.
That Melissa Bro did. We should see if we can get a hold of that. And she had a nice little sequence, or we'll get another video up on the call off. But yeah, I haven't tried yet her method, and which involves a lot of kind of like let's see, I'm going to try to describe it. You start by you're tossing the treat behind the dog, and you're basically, breaking the push up with, don't push so hard, or don't think about pushing so much, because I'm going to toss a treat behind you. And so it's, real systematic. I feel a little nervous to try it, in that I'm worried about demotivating my dog for pushing.
Yes.
So it's just a little scary. That's how I feel.
Well, I can tell you from doing it does. I mean, the speed that Pappy had in the standard versus because now he's very hesitant to push the ball as fast as he would, because he's always kind of looking up and popping, are you going to send me back? Or because the idea was to get him to enjoy going to the ball just as much as pushing it. And maybe I did it too. Maybe I'm doing it wrong too, but I mean, he's more methodical, but it slowed him. He's not as confident when he gets behind the ball.
Right.
So it's not, and it could be, I just need to do it more. I've only been doing that method for a couple months.
Or do it less too. I mean, it's like, that's the thing.
Right. So eventually, will it all click? I don't know. But right now, he's just like push, and then he looks up, pushes, and then looks up. Are you going to send me back? So he's definitely, his time has gone up about a minute.
Wow.
But he's, not doing what he used to do, just ignoring me and just like, hey.
Right.
Yeah, not screaming at him.
It's like you're in the mid process.
Yeah, I'm in the mid. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a transition.
That method is a lot like the way it's often taught the drop on recall. Dogs doing a recall and teaching them to stop and toss a treat behind. So it just sounds like you're just work in progress, And then once they really get your cue of what you're going to add, that cue of what you're going to say, stop, wait, whatever. Then it says, okay, now I've got a cue. Now I understand. I can keep pushing unless I hear that thing, because, you'll see probably some slowdown for a while.
Yeah.
In the pushing, because you're not sure. You pull them off or what?
Right.
So
I have a question, Chris, on your video I was watching, and here there were a couple of videos where you were using weight as your call off more often. And then I saw that you seemed to be switching to using his name. And when you were using weight, I noticed, because you use away as your, whichever way it goes. In the video sound, to me, I couldn't tell whether you were saying away or wait. And I wondered if you'd thought about that, and that was one of the reasons you switched.
It is part of it. To make weight different from away, when I use the away, it's a very drawn out away, versus wait is a real sharp thing. And I was just getting to the point where I felt like I was yelling so sharply at him. I didn't like it.
Are you talking about when the dog is running, you tell him to stop? Or
yeah, they've started to push a ball, but it's the wrong ball, and we got to get them to stop pushing that ball, so we can direct them to another ball.
Okay, I got it.
And a lot of dogs at first find that really, even though you're treating like crazy and you try to make it's a real change. Hey, I used to push, Mickey, I used to push like a wild man. Suddenly you're telling me to stop. Oh, what? I don't like that very much. So, it's the thing. So when I switched up to his name, I think it helped get his attention better. And I think partly because way too close. So
how would you do that without slowing them down? I mean, if they started, because you want the time.
Yeah, so you know what these so they are while you're in training for it, while you're getting those cues under the belt, they will slow down a little. But once their confidence comes back, then that let me tell you, that speed comes back. Like, okay, now I understand. Once they get to that point, I understand. You're stopping me, but you're gonna see another ball, and I get to push.
Yeah, I see.
Or they've gotten where they know once they get the push cue, then they're good to go.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So this is really for a dog that started to push without a cue. And
well, no,
right?
they just miss. Mickey would miss.
Well,
I'd say I'd get him lined up. And for whatever reason, he'd miss, start pushing the wrong ball, or I needed to break up the clump.
Oh, right.
So I just, okay, start pushing something. I don't care. Mostly because I couldn't get to the right ball.
Yeah,
And,
anything.
Yeah, please break him up, do something. We're in trouble. and then stop him and send him somewhere else. So yeah, there's push and stop it becomes a really important cue, especially when that wrong ball is barreling in at you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I'm glad I'm not that far yet. So.
Oh, these things happen. That's what this list came from. It's like, oh yeah, that was a problem. Had to work through that.
It's because when I started teaching down on recall, now I've got a real slow come to me, and it used to be really, really fast.
Yeah, there you go. So
and it's like waiting for like, well, what you gonna tell me to do?
Yeah. So I think that teaching it in the pushing game, as long as they like pushing or love pushing, because they do get to push again. I think the fun comes back a lot quicker than what I've seen it come back in the recall.
Well, it wouldn't be a leave it.
Yeah, in fact is I hear some people say leave it here and there. I've slipped there, and I like to caution people away from that one, because usually leave it got trained with,
leave it forever.
Yeah, exactly. Or maybe or something. Well, man, I really don't want to kill my dog's enthusiasm or confidence in this. So, yeah.
Carolyn, all we can see is a dog's nose on your camera. Oh, it moved. Hey, can I describe something that happened today that was interesting? So I was just working 4 balls, and I was playing with telling her to wait for my cue before I said push. But so the balls were, spread out enough that she went to the right ball, that the ball I directed her to, but I went ahead and said wait, and because I wanted her just to like give me that look before I gave the push cue, and but then instead of doing what she would normally do, other times she stopped and she started to go to the other ball, the only other ball that was on the field. And then I was like, I had to tell her wait again, direct her back to the first ball, and that was when she started to eat grass, Chris.
Yeah.
So she was frustrated, and the truth of that was she knew she had the right ball, and then I told her to wait, and she was, she was annoyed, So, yeah, what do you think of that scenario? Like,
it's another. You're in the training process, and the dog thinks they've started. Oh, if you say wait, you're going to send me somewhere else. So I'll cut to the chase. I'm just going to go somewhere else, because that's what you've done. Every time you say wait, or whatever your cue is, you send me somewhere else. Okay, fine. You told me that thing. I'm going to go on. So I would add in some of they get to the right ball, they do the wait, and then have them push that ball. And like, keep it close. You're right there. Nope, stay right here, push this ball. To help them through that little thing.
Okay.
I had Mickey go, he got whacked once when, I'm going to save that story because it's going to go, there's a place where it goes a little further down this it's a good one for later. So yeah, that's when we're in the between, we see those things where the dogs, they're trying to figure this whole thing out, and because we're kind of changing the rules on them. And
yeah, we are.
We're bringing new things into the picture, and they're trying to figure it out. So there's going to be that indecision time where they're like, I don't really know. So maybe I should try something.
Right.
So, oh yeah, big one is stopping, and then of course that stop behind. You're running and stop behind that ball. That's one that with my older dog, I just used the word push when she was getting around a ball. If I said push, she stopped right there and rounded on that closest ball. I had to go to training more of a weight stop behind with Mickey. If he was running and even if he was close to a ball and I said push, he had so many strides in before he was at a new ball. He thought he was right. Like, oh dear. No, you're going to have to stop. So, what are you guys using for cues to tell your dog stop behind that ball right there?
Oh, go in front.
Sandy's got a good one. Although I think she was telling somebody to be quiet.
No, go in front. That's what I use.
Yeah. Sandy uses, I think you use whoa.
I do use whoa or wait.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not consistent, which is bad.
And yeah, I use wait. And
that's my most common one.
No, not that one. No.
I just use yes. And like when he finally gets there, just say yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah.
That's it. Because he always pops his head up. Like, is this the right one? Is that what was within Lisa or whoever is? You're starting with the standard, and the only thing I kind of regret is that when I originally had started, I started with the more intense like directionals, and going to the ball, and I kind of like fell out of it while I was doing the standard, and now going back to that has been really. I think like if I was advising somebody that was planning on doing both games, that you train like you're gonna do balls in order first.
Yeah.
And because it'll make it so much easier. And even maybe like even when you're doing the standard game, like just practice, go out and he can push whatever when he wants. It's not a big deal. But like getting away with being able to push whatever ball he got to has really been like, and I was like, well, why not? I was.
Yeah.
This one's closer. This one's closer. I was allowed to do that. So like a lot of the skills that he had a year ago, kind of, I got a little slack on. So
I did too.
It just makes it. I kind of just wish I had stayed with the more strict.
So what you're saying basically is a wait before every push. Right, like you never push without.
But like more that come by in a way what I had done in the beginning, like really stuck with, which I eventually just went to because we were sending from the left. Well, I was sending from just the one side, and the only time I had to wait was the point ball, and then other than that, it was a free for all. So then I would just say go out, and whenever one they wanted to go to, as long as they push it in, I didn't care. Instead of actually trying to guide them, and so. It was fine till intermediate, but then now it's just kind of I'm working on it, but it's a ping pong. He goes to this ball, then he ping pongs back, ping pong, and so he's wasting a lot of time where he should just be going. So that's why we've turned to this break up method, so all the balls come forward, and then.
Yeah, Carolyn and I, we had to talk about that. How both our dogs hit a real, because you can in standard you can compared to balls in order you can get away with murder. You just and the dog gets used to running really fast, and I just go out, bring it in, go out, bring it in, go out, bring it in, and then all of a sudden we get picky.
Right.
Reel them back in and say, whoa, now I care.
Yeah.
And you're like, why?
Yeah.
This used to be so fun.
Carolyn, I agree with you that new people should train really train for balls in order.
Mm-hmm.
And then they can kind of get them wrong. You know, when you're doing the standard, it's not so critical. You can just go ahead and keep the recording, you know, but to just basically train from the beginning like you're going to be doing balls in order. So you know what ball you're sending them to, and they know it's time to push.
Right. And that's if you're
right.
planning on doing both. Like I think you know, like Pappy or having a terrier, I'm like, I just know he just doesn't enjoy it, and he's just not that dog. You know, like I think I'll do intermediate, and that's it, because he really just wants to fly. And so that's why I think it's nice that you have both games. Like maybe it's not going to be for everybody, because not a lot of dogs are going to be able to be out in the field for 3 minutes and stay focused. It really, certain breeds are going to have a tough time. Not to say they can't. I just don't have the you know, it's just harder. A terrier or a hound, you know, are going to have a much more difficult time when there's things going on. Anyway, maybe not. That's just me being lazy too.
Right. And well, I think a lot of it becomes too is, and we'll talk about this on some of the other things, a lot more rewards. Like yeah, you know, people say, well, they say, well, why are you teaching this stop behind the balls, and why are you still holding that? Because you don't need it in standard anymore. And I'm like, I'm going to need it, is what it comes down to, and so we keep practicing. But breaking it up in a lot of treats and keeping it fun, even though we're teaching them these stop things, because most of our dogs really don't like that whole stoppy thing.
Yeah. But should we go to the next slide?
Yep, Chris? Let's go on. Oh, yep, I heard it. Okay. Here's one that we found is an important one. Ignoring the rolling balls. You want to be able to have your dog stay still while a ball is rolled out, because the wrong balls will happen. You're going to have some incorrect balls come in, whether by accident or you just can't get the dog stopped when they're pushing the wrong ball. So then the dog has to stay with you while you roll that wrong ball back out on the field. And that can be hard for a lot of the dogs to be okay with that. And then almost by definition, if it was a wrong ball, it's most likely not the ball you want them to go get. So then you want to be able to send them to a different ball than the one you just rolled out. And it's interesting when you first start practicing that, how many dogs you have that dog there and you roll a ball out, and even though you send them off to the other side, they'll make a beeline back over to that ball you just rolled. So yeah, it's a fun thing. So certainly something that you want to work on the side before you get out there and you're going, uh-oh, stop. Happens. So I don't know if you guys want to add anything to that one.
Well, I've started with my beginning class, adding in exercises with rolling balls. So we're starting with stays with rolling balls, and then recalls with rolling balls. I think it was Harriet who had a video of you leave the dog in a stay, and you walk to the other side of the room or field or whatever, and you have a ball with you, and then you call your dog to you in a recall, and then you roll the ball the opposite direction. So basically, you know, so that's just the beginning baby exercises that I've got going so far, and I haven't thought of any of the next level exercises.
Yeah, that's what, you know, we will. That's just exactly that's what we build it up in our classes to what I call kickball. You have several balls in play, and first you start that very simple. You know, you keep coming in while a ball rolls by. You keep pushing a ball while a ball rolls by, and finally to the point where they're pushing a ball and you're literally kicking balls back out. So they start learning that to stick with that ball they're pushing, and then we'll flip it around and
I don't know, Sandy, in your class, I think we probably only did one training session where you have the ball, you have the dog beside you, and you just gently, you roll it away from you, and then you have the dog go the exactly opposite direction. And at first we fought it a little. I mean, it was like 180. Ball gently, I mean gently, just send the dog over there. They at first, but they quickly came around. Oh, it's important. It's worthwhile. But I think in your class, I think we only did that one session.
Yeah, I don't remember doing it hardly at all.
Yeah, it was. Once they get it, they're okay. But it's not, especially those herding dogs. It's not their nature. Let that rolly ball go away. Okay, are we ready to go on?
Yeah.
Oops, well, we did. All right. This is one I started finding, and it's one you can get away with usually even in novice balls in order. It won't be too big a deal. Intermediate gets to be bigger, and by the time you get advanced and master, at some point it will likely be something to work through. And that's tiny position shifts. The ability to move that dog between two balls that are very close or even touching. In our train, I never really thought about it because I didn't care in standard. Usually if I was sending them somewhere, the other ball was kind of far away. And even when if you think about our skill certification, those balls are 10 feet away or 15 or something. 2 balls are pretty far apart. Yeah, 10. And so when they're at one place and you send them to another, they get very used to that being several strides. And so then if you've got 2 balls kind of close together and you just try to shift them a little, they're off several strides looking for a ball out over on somewhere else on the field. You're thinking, no, just a little. Just a little. I call them scooch, just a little, and so we practiced, again, it was Sandy's class, but we took 3 balls and mats. And at first we started with them, I don't know, maybe we started with them 5 feet apart. But then we brought them together so they were, I don't know, maybe 2 feet apart. And we had mats behind them. So we went way back. We were working those, nope. And it was interesting how many dogs at first wanted to, even though we had 3 balls and they were, 2 feet apart, you have them on one end and you try to set them just to the next one. They'd leapfrog over to, 2 balls away. It was hard. And we used a lot of cookies that day, getting those dogs to realize they could move just a little bit. So that's kind of how we work through in
Did you consider a new cue, like a scooch cue, or?
So in my house, it didn't turn out to be a verbal, but instead of, my sins, when I need to go real far, it's just a big arm movement.
Right.
But when I'm trying to get them to scooch, it is, okay, I can't see everybody, so I don't know. I'm looking at myself. It is very much my arms, but I mean, I'm just doing this little, away. But my hand's still there. I'm just doing this little baby thing instead of some big thing. So a lot of people stuck in my head, and I just feel stupid saying that. So good, I didn't put a verbal on it, but I think it's a good idea to put a verbal cue on it.
Bodie. So
I
ran into this situation quite a bit, especially when they clump together. And I think that's where, I just kind of followed Bodie's lead on this, is that he's that close, and especially when they're at a distance, I can't really see it. And my field has kind of a curve to it. So I a lot of times can't, I think he's behind the ball, but he's not. And then so he pushes the one that's really close, and then that's why for me, Bodie has a pretty good strong, when I say wait or leave it, I usually leave it, I know. But he stops almost immediately that he doesn't like it, but he does. But that's something that I had worked on. But instead of like trying to get those over, because I was doing that, I'm like over and over, and then it wound up being like that. Then he'd start doing, like, where do you want me to go? We'd be making these wide arches. So I'm just like, you know what, just hit that ball that's in the way, and I'll send you to the right one. And that just seems to be, so, I mean, because it's hard when they're like right behind each other, or and especially at bigger distances, you may not going to be able to see, depending on what your field is like, or situations also if you have fencing, that it's hard for them to go back. Well, the fence is in the way, they really can't. So I just have them push that first ball out of the way, and then they go to the second. But that's just another. Yeah, it's hard.
Great, that's helpful.
Yeah. Nope, that's definitely, and it's amazing when you get, you know, the 8 and 9 balls out there.
Yeah.
Because they're not identical size. It's very easy to, in a clump. Some of my videos, I'm standing there, he's brought a ball in, and I'm standing there. I'm not intentionally holding him. It's just like, dude, I'm trying to find the ball. I don't know where to send you. I'm just, okay, what's that? It's got to be back there somewhere. So definitely a technique. Strategy, maybe.
Yes, strategy. And sometimes.
Okay. Going on. This is a big one. This is one that takes so much. A lot of it is just practice. It's taking a lot of practice, and that's the directional cues. You know, again, we all kind of have a tendency. We started it, you know, like for the skills certification, that sort of thing, and then when we didn't need it in standard, it maybe sort of went by the wayside. So their ability to respond to those directions at a distance. A lot of the dogs could handle it up close, but when the distance started piling up, they struggled. And then one that I think is equally important is their stamina to respond to several direction changes. You know, I've not just my own dogs, but I've seen it in others in the class. You need to stop, and we can redirect them to another ball. But if they still end up on the wrong ball, you stop them and send them over again somewhere else. If they still miss, and then you send them. By that point, a lot of them are like, you don't know what you want. I am certain Mickey told me that once or twice. You know, if you just make your mind what you wanted, I'd bring it, but you clearly don't know. And you're clearly not doing what I'm asking. And so, you know, I even saw Mickey finally went out, and we were just training, but he went out, and I had just been through a really tough trying to move him around. He finally got there. He finally brought the ball in. I said about the next time, it was like he did not know. I was trying to give him a ways and trying to, and he was just doing his own thing. And he just one more. He did his own things back, forth, and then he picked the ball again. I'm like, that's what you think I did last time. I just moved you back and forth several times and then had you bring the ball in. That's what he thought, because he's like, I don't know what you're doing, lady. But building up that stamina so that they don't find it so demotivating to have to switch back and forth, that they're still in a positive frame of mind that, okay, this is part of the game too. This is what we do. I can change several times and then bring the ball in. They don't know they're at the wrong ball. They just know that we're goofy, making it hard. So.
Well, one thing that I've been kind of playing with is, you know, you have a goal. Let's say for us, we're trying to do rainbow order, and so we've got our balls. We know what they're supposed to be, but depending on the level of the dog, I'm encouraging my students that if you know, like if you know your dog can probably do like one hard redirect, but not two in a row, then just, you know, throw the run. Like don't do what's going to be too hard. We'll just not, this one won't be a title run. go ahead and send the dog to a ball you know they can do, because you could tell that last ball was so hard that they just don't have it in them. It's not worth it to demotivate them.
Yep, it's very important to keep their attitude up, their confidence. So I think you're right on. You know, if you've gone through a hard spiel, I mean, that one time Mickey told me that was hard, and I don't know what was in your head. He was clear, and so it was the right thing to make the next one easy. But he wasn't even listening at that point. It was way too hard. So yeah, I think you're on it. And lots of practice up close, responding to changes and whatever it takes. High value treats, do a couple and go tug or go chase a tennis ball, whatever, something to keep it fun, so that they're still in the game going, okay, this is fun too. I can do this. So. Okay. Anybody else want to add to that one?
No.
Oh, that was it. All right. So,
If someone just starting, can I just teach them to go the direction of where I'm pointing? Or does that go away with the distance?
it does. Yeah, it does.
Because right now we're not even up to 30 feet yet, but if I can still
Right.
point to the, I figure as the distance goes further and further, it'll get harder for the dog.
It does. It does. By the time they're out further, our pointing just really becomes so. And when they're further out, there's a lot more balls. So.
So yeah, I see.
Yeah. So when they're closer, you can already be starting to work on those directional cues, so that when it does they do get further away and there are more balls, they're already comfortable with it. That okay, yeah, I know what that means. I can do that. So.
Can you just do standard first?
You can, yeah. That's, I mean,
you should, yeah.
I can see why you'd want to do the balls in order first, because once you teach a dog something, it's so hard to go back and reteach.
Yeah, I kind of wish like because then standard would be just like, oh my God, this is so freaking really. I can just do anything I want.
Well, what I think I'm encouraging people to do, you know, you're training for balls in order, but
yeah,
do your novice standard, where you can just make it really easy. Send the dog to the easiest ball, one after the other, and then you've got your standard novice in, you know, and then you're probably ready to do balls in order. So go ahead and add that fourth ball. And my students actually found it easier to do novice balls in order than to do intermediate standard. So I had two that were like just had been struggling to get to the intermediate standard, and one had gotten in and one had not yet. And then we started going ahead and doing novice balls in order, and actually everybody started having so much fun. That's the biggest response I'm getting, is balls in order is so much fun. So
it sounds so difficult though.
At the novice level, it's actually not that hard, because they seem to always split, and you end up pretty much. I mean, in any of the runs that we've had turned in, we haven't had any wrong balls at the novice level, and it's kind of like it's hard. None of us have been able to get any footage of a wrong ball at the novice level, so you know it is hard. But at the novice level and even moving into the intermediate, it's not that hard. So you got lots of time, lots of years of training before you need to worry about having 9 balls.
Well, I have a young dog, so.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm
Chris, sounds like you sent some bloopers in.
So we're admitting that. Whoa, I bet on my camera. I bet I do have some of those. it'd be interesting, to hear how it goes for people who are, I've got some newbies coming up now. How it goes for now that they have both games and they can do standard and balls in order moving up at the same time versus, like our dogs that already, well, we've already gone up and we're doing all the distance multi-ball, advanced and matters where the dog's really used to running after tons of balls, and now we take them back down and we care which ones. So
Yeah,
they may find it goes better for them, more fun overall.
I think it will be. I think you
so.
guys are gonna have, I think you guys are gonna have a blast.
Yeah, because you've done some balls in order, right? I mean, I know you're just starting to turn them in, right?
You're asking.
Here.
I think you got some.
Yes, I've turned in.
Intermediate runs.
Who are you addressing?
Sandy, you do, right?
I turned in novice runs for Splash. I've got novice runs for Allie in the Can, and actually 2 intermediate runs for Allie in the Can.
I was gonna say, I thought you had some
Awesome.
intermediates.
Yeah.
And I forgot about Allie.
Our competition services committee who's in charge of reviewing the videos has a little bit of a backlog because some people really overloaded them. Me.
What? So I'm helping you out, but I've got all these in my camera that I'm not getting out to people. So you're welcome.
Yay.
I'll tell my students it's your fault.
Yeah, I apologize. Things should be moving along soon, very quickly. It's just been a lot.
Well, that's what you get for letting me film at home. I did Splash's novice at home with some already.
Does anybody have any questions about what our thoughts about other things that are coming up with balls in order or any of the training?
I was just going to comment, since I have the deaf dog Splash, that the verbal commands obviously don't work with her, but it does demonstrate to me how much they follow my physical directions, arm movements, and how much that plays a role. I even though I use verbals with Allie, my hearing Sheltie, I'm still following it up with the physical direction as well, it's just out of habit. Reminds me of agility, where I can, say go up the teeter and call it the apron, and I'll still go on the right obstacle.
That happens.
Yeah, but when I call the teeter dog walk, they tend to run off the end of it because they think they're supposed to be 24 more feet of plank. I might have made that mistake.
I've learned to ignore my verbals. Just go where I point.
All right.
Do you want to put up on the screen the YouTube, Chris, and talk about that a little bit?
See if I can get there.
And if you guys have any questions that aren't related to balls in order, go ahead and throw them out. That would be. Uh-oh, I got dogs barking.
All right, so take a second to get rid of this screen. There we go. So let's. Work our way through here. I'll get there. And the screen will catch up. All right, so Remind me what you want to show. You want me to go to the playlist? Is that what you're? Is that what you're asking, Monica? Is that what you're thinking, Monica? To show up, it's coming. I know it takes a while for the computer to catch up. Today, computer. Hello.
I just realized I was muted this whole time. I'm yammering on.
Yeah, I've been wondering why you were so quiet because I was talking.
Did you pause it because it hasn't refreshed? Did you pause your monitor?
That's what I'm looking to see if I can figure out. You know what? I'm going to pause it now. I'm going to turn it back on.
Yeah. Well,
it's not coming along. It's not showing, even though I've told it.
Well, basically, if you guys go into YouTube and you search Nate YouTube, or you can search that just in Google. Or
our station's Nate
Treibball. Nate Treibball.
Yeah,
Treibball, I'm sorry, yeah. Nate Treibball. Thank you, guys. Then you can go to the playlist, and we're working on getting everything on different playlists. It's a work in progress, but we do have our resources that we've gotten videos so far. We have under the playlist for Balls in Order. So you might go and look at some of the things we've been talking about today. You'll be able to some of the exercises you'll be able to see there in that playlist. So that's going to be a resource that'll be growing, as in the months ahead.
It's refreshing, but it's going to take it for a long time.
So, well, any other questions? Anybody want to just chime in or share a little bit about how their training's going? Lisa, do you have anything you want to say?
Pretty new to this, but I've already started experiencing a little bit of the demotivation. So working real hard to keep it fun and exciting for them. I'm out in Washington, and we're doing some workshops and classes and just having a lot of fun with it.
Are you training on your own?
Oh. Yes. There's one Nate trainer in Washington named Eric. He's a friend of mine. And so he comes down to where I am and does some workshops for me. And then I'm doing it with my 3 dogs, and then I'm teaching the basics to others.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Well, then it sounds like it's time for you to become a Nate trainer too, if you've got ongoing classes there.
I'm working on it. I'm working on getting some videos for their novice standard put together to submit.
Awesome. Great. That's very exciting. How about you, Pam? The other new person?
No, we're just working on the little basic skills and trying to get my dog to push and go out and front the balls and to move from side to side. And I find that if I do it in the same place all the time, it's fine. But if I move it in a different part of my yard, I've got to start all over again. Is that
right?
Yeah.
That's how it goes. Generalization, yep.
But I'd like to know how to get my dog really excited about the ball. Because she's real good with the go-outs. And she's okay with pushing, but she's just not 100% pushing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
She'll push it, but she won't stay with it. She'll push it a few times and then watch it. Whereas I have a little poodle who just billy goats the ball all over the place. He doesn't know anything about the go out. So Well, I was just wondering how can I get my dog really, really excited about the ball?
So I've definitely found that there are those two personalities, the ones that the Billy Goats, as you call them. We've certainly got
Yeah,
those.
just hit it with their head over and over and over.
Yeah,
That's what my little poodle does.
Yeah,
and
but we also have those finesse players, and sometimes it takes them a little longer to become such maybe the power players. Some of the finessers, they never really turn into the Billy Goats, but they also don't have the problem of the ball flying all over the field. So they're still quite competitive. They just don't. Well, they're not the Mickey Pounders all over the field. Take the field out as you go.
Well, I like my dog. My dog can push it, but it doesn't really put her chest into it. Or stay with it. That keeps pushing it and then looking up for a treat and then pushing it. And, are you going to give me another treat?
So yeah, it sounds like you're at the build phase of push it once, you get a treat. Okay, now push it 2 times, you get a cookie, and maybe you got to push it 3 times. And that whole building of more pushing before you're going to get that cookie. And
Cookies
then
she's excited about. She's very, very food motivated.
Great. Yeah, and so that's exactly it. So we use that. That's our, you keep pushing, you're gonna get cookies.
I do a lot of letting her push it and then throw it behind her and then let her come back and push, and she has to go back and get the cookie. And I've put the cookie under the ball and she'll push it and eat and push and eat and push and eat. It's just that I'm thinking that she's more interested in the food than the ball.
That's okay. We can use that. We can use that motivation.
Will it get better?
Yep. It will. And some of it comes down to sometimes just holding out on that treat a little while. It's like, you know what? You've been doing 2 pushes for a cookie for some time. Let's have 3.
Okay.
And making sure that you're raising that criteria that I need a little more. I need a little more before you get that cookie.
And then she'll push it and it'll go straight out. And then when it gets in a corner, I tell her to go around and push it. And she's just not getting that go around to push it, because if she would come around to behind it and push it out of the corner, she'd probably learn how to control it more.
If you look on our videos, we have one. I put one up a while ago. Yeah.
It sounds like you could use like hallways are a great way for that. Just if you have a small hallway, you can just put that ball in the corner. And you just have the treats in your hand, and you just get it, and it might look at you for a while, but eventually you get one little push, then reward. Eventually they'll figure out, I got to push it out myself, instead of constantly
I'm so tempted to help her, and I don't.
Yeah. There's a time, but I like the hallway because you're not that far away, but it's a whole different challenge than them sitting and behind the ball behind you. They actually have to figure out, how am I gonna twist this around? And you might have to first, reward for that little nose push, but then eventually, once they get that ball moving on their own, and I swear, 2 weeks of that is more than if you can send your dog out and I know what you're talking about, because it happened to my students all the time. The dog would push it twice and then they fiddle away, like, where's my treat? But doing stuff like put it behind a chair in your house. I mean, as gradual, there's little things that you can do in small distances.
Make the food a target to push to. With that.
Yeah. So the dog always has to push to you. The ball has to come to you. That's eventually what the message you want to get, instead of.
Focus on. I always tell my guys, the criteria is to get a cookie is the ball has to hit me. So they have a goal. It's not 2 pushes or 3 pushes or 4 pushes. It's, I got to make that ball hit her, and it further close, and then I'm further away.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
they're driving.
That's a good way to put it. You know, it's
Yep.
2 pushes a hitcher, and then as a, yeah, so that it's
Mhm.
always that it comes to you instead of just 2 pushes, then you throw the treat out and they get treat over there.
Mhm.
Oh,
And
okay.
Nice part.
yeah,
Well, thank you.
and,
That'll help out.
and corners are hard.
Mhm.
And along walls, you know, if it's along a wall or a fence, sometimes they'll act funny. And I've got one up there, you know, training how to dig the ball out of the corners. If your dog acts like, no, that's too weird, I can't do that. It's about slowly teaching them how to get into that corner and do it. So yeah, and especially for one who's a little more delicate pusher. Oh, yeah, that's hard. You want me to do what? Might bend my whiskers.
And you might have to go back to, I had ones that were terrified of the corners that I just had to shove the treats underneath and start all over again, like start at basics. I just put the treats under so they got over that fear.
Would you start with a smaller ball and work up to the bigger one, or just always use? My dog's 22 inches at the withers, so I was using a 65 centimeter ball, and I got one that's weighted with sand because I thought it would help her learn how to push it, rather than a ball that pushes real easily.
Right. So that might be part of it is, you know, have one that's not weighted. Because one of the things the weighting does too is it makes the ball roll differently. So if they don't give it a hard push, instead of the ball rolling out, keep rolling out, it'll come back at them. Or
yeah, that's what it did. It
yeah,
came back on her.
yeah. So
and then she gets a little shy about pushing it.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that could
I
be
always
it.
go to
Oh, it bit me.
non-weighted.
And talk about dogs biting us yesterday.
Since sand in the balls is not allowed for titling, you wouldn't really want to be practicing that with that kind of ball, because then you're not really working towards what you'll be using when you
I just thought if the ball had a little resistance, she'd learn to push it harder. But maybe I should make it easier.
Yeah, that's what I'd say. Make it easier. So you're not fighting the weight, or that the ball doesn't act right. It comes back at, especially our finesse pushers. I mean, Sandy can really speak to a finesse. I called her little Allie. I called her Princess and Princess Whisker.
Just have a little.
I swear to God, I couldn't prove the dog was actually touching the ball. These are Whiskers. I don't know. That dog's got to be touching it. It's moving. But yeah.
And she pushes and then waits to see how far it goes before she pushes it again.
You betcha.
Well, that might be more fun for her to watch it roll. To watch, you know. I don't know. I just I appreciate all this, because that's been my concern, is the go out is great with her, but the pushing, she's just not a pushy broad. I don't know.
It'll come. It'll come.
Hey guys, we're already at 5:06, so at least California time. So this has been chock full of great information and fun, but I think it's time to wrap up for the day.
I think so. Guess we're gonna have to.
All right. Well, it's nice to meet all of you.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for coming.
Got some new people.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.